Let's talk about the tangy twist of figurative language in poetry. Remember that poets use figurative language to go beyond the literal meaning of words. It helps them be more effective, persuasive, and impactful by creating images in our minds, connecting ideas, and making emotions stronger. The formal definition of figurative language is when writers use creative words and comparisons to make their writing more interesting, powerful, and easier to picture. There are so many types of figurative language that writers use, but we are going to focus on covering the following kinds: simile, metaphor, hyperbole, personification, and illusion. We'll start with similes. A simile compares two different things using like or as. Let's look at an example from an actual sonnet. The line reads, "I thought of you, my partner, as a tree, with roots sunk deep in firm, familiar ground." In Edna St. Vincent Millay's Sonnet 29, you can see that the speaker uses a simile to compare her partner to a tree with deep roots. Now, the reason the poet uses a simile here is that this comparison allows the reader to imagine the strength of the speaker's partner because we can picture the roots running deep and strong. Remember, the goal of figurative language is to make the writing come alive for the reader. Moving on to metaphors. A metaphor says one thing is another to show how they're alike. In this sonnet, the line reads, "Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so." In John Donne's Holy Sonnet 10, you can see that the speaker is using a metaphor to compare death to a dictator who brags about power it doesn't really have. The use of a metaphor here allows the reader to imagine a crazy tyrant who is awful to the people around him. Because this is something we can picture in our minds, it makes the writing become real for readers. Now, personification. Personification gives human qualities to animals, objects, or ideas. In this sonnet, the line reads, "But time shall mend this wrong and bring relief." In Samuel Daniel's Sonnet 6, you can see that the speaker is giving time human-like characteristics by personifying time as someone who heals and is capable of fixing things and bringing relief. Here, with the use of personification, we see time as a person actually working to fix and heal. We can imagine this in action, which brings the words to life. On to hyperbole. Hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration used to show strong feelings. This sonnet says, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach." In Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Sonnet 43, the speaker exaggerates love as something infinite and never ending to show how great her love is. Using hyperbole, we get to imagine the extreme exaggeration that the speaker uses to talk about love. It allows readers to see how much the speaker actually feels. The love is so big that it can't be measured. Finally, let's go over illusion. An allusion is a quick reference to something famous, like a story, event, or character, to add meaning. The line from this sonnet reads, "Poor soul, the center of my sinful earth, fooled by these rebel powers that thee array." In Shakespeare's Sonnet 146, there is a biblical allusion where the speaker is saying that the body is only temporary, and it connects to religious ideas about the soul, sin, and being saved. In using this allusion, the reference to the Bible and sin provides a ton of background knowledge that the speaker doesn't have to explain. As long as someone is familiar with those aspects of the Bible, they already get all of that background knowledge. Now that we've looked at each of the figurative language devices individually from the lesson, you can review the terms, definitions, and examples of each key word we covered. Take the opportunity to pause the video if you need more time to look them over. Let's circle back to our metaphor of the barbecue sauce. Just like barbecue sauce blends sweet, smoky, and tangy tastes, figurative language blends creative comparisons and images that make poetry come alive.